Welcome back in, everyone, to Lucky Bets with Dylan Corbett here with us. Dylan, last week, kind of some like big time shockers went down. A couple of them I talked about as lines I was paying attention to, but the two big ones, Detroit cashed in on Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we kind of talked about it, we were still like, Green Bay's still going to get the job done. They did not. And then how about the Jets taking down Buffalo? I thought I misheard the announcers when they were talking about it, and sure enough, somehow Jets pull it off against Buffalo. So two big time upsets there, in my opinion. And then Jacksonville and Vegas, Seattle and Arizona. Talked about both of those as
Mm-hmm.
lines I was taking last week, and those two cashed in. So just kind of a crazy week of football.
Yeah, no, good read from you. I will say I did kind of like your thinking on the Jets. I played them on the money line. I put them in a huge teaser, so that was a big winner. I was on the other side of Seattle. I've been fooled by the Arizona Cardinals, I think, all year long. It's been tough, and I guess it's time to buy in on Seattle. I mean, that's good on Pete Carroll. My goodness, I mean, it hurts
Yeah.
for you as a Broncos fan, kind of watching. Wait a second, how are they? They're doing that with Geno, and we got the better quarterback per se. Yeah, Houston was a big cover. Philly obviously won, but Houston had the back door there. Kansas City was in a little bit of a dogfight with Tennessee. Colts continue to stink. Uh, the Vikings continue to win in just like the most ridiculous ways possible. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
is this, we get you guys are good, but the ways you're like scraping by, which makes me think in a do or die playoff game, how am I going to put any confidence in you?
Well, you see, I mean, last year, what was the conversation we were having? They're only losing by one score.
Yep.
They're this close to just winning those games. Well, they've figured out how to be on the correct end of that this year. Uh,
Right.
and honestly, thinking about Minnesota games, I'm like, it's gonna be a close game. I think whoever they play, are they going to continue to push themselves just that little bit further than the other team? They got a tough test this week too. So
Exactly. And both teams, and keep an eye on Josh Allen with potential Tommy John surgery. What's going on with that? I mean, the way he throws the football, it does, I guess it makes sense. But yeah, you said it. It's almost like, okay, now all the bounces of the football are turning into Viking wins. That's great for the record. Both teams are going to be playoff teams, but is it going to turn to any playoff success? We'll see. I'm telling you, I've been preaching this for the last 5 weeks, and it's been so ugly, and it continued to be ugly, but it paid off. Keep an eye on Tampa Bay. They're going. That's the worst division in football. It's going to get them at least one home game, and then say there's an upset and they get a second home game, and all of a sudden they're facing the Vikings on the road, or the Eagles. And who do you like, Brady or Hurts? Brady or Cousins? That's so. Tampa Bay would have been in some real trouble, like I think the Rams are now. So certainly a much must-win game there. But yeah, hey, I mean we're past the halfway point. Things have been pretty exciting.
yeah, and speaking of being on the halfway point, we'll get to some odds-on favorites for things at the end of the show.
Love it.
So this week, I'm looking at the Minnesota Buffalo game. Minnesota is the dog there. Indy and Vegas. I'm going to be honest. I think Vegas is the worst team in the NFL.
How about that against Jaguars, pissing it away? I forgot. I was like, wait a second. Why are the Raiders so bad? I remember Josh McDaniels was named their head coach. It's ridiculous. Is he one and
Mm-hmm.
done?
I
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, he did come to the Broncos a
How'd
handful of
that
years
go?
ago.
Yep.
It kind of went the same way. I think he just he's like, all right, Bill, I'm gonna go to another team and I'm gonna fuck him up for a bit, and then
Yep.
I'm gonna come back.
No,
And
exactly. Like Matt Patricia. I
yeah,
mean, that's the formula. He's like, hey, I'll do some dirty work for you in the division
yeah. And then
or in the country.
Arizona and the Rams. I'm looking at that one. Looking at Arizona over the Rams. Probably not a smart pick to take Arizona, but if you want to talk about a team that is halfway through the season and still doesn't know what the hell they're doing, that is the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, no kidding. I like those. Let's see. Lines I had just written down. You said the Colts. As much as I hate, I mean, how about the Jeff Saturday hire? That is so fun. Like, what? Jim Irsay is just I mean, he's kind of just like, all right, who do I don't have to even interview a minority coach. Okay, yeah, give me the ESPN guy. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. And now Saturday's coached high school football. I imagine him in an ESPN cubicle getting the call. Like, hey, do you want to come coach the Indianapolis Colts? I have no idea what to expect with the offense. Like, fantasy wise, I guess we'll talk about it too on my show. Is like, Pierce and Campbell have been nothing. Jonathan Taylor, is he like just done for the year? Why not? Why not just rest him if you're just going to be in this much of a tailspin? But yeah, I actually like that number again. And without a coach, like I can't remember if the Panthers did, but I really like playing a team after they lose a coach. I don't know what it is. It's like because the number is so bad, and then all of a sudden the team just gets up and plays for them. Great. I like the Lions. I mean, you said it. They finally get a big win over Green Bay. Keeping an eye on that. Panthers. I've got a couple of stinkers on here. I would just say keep an eye on the Bills because there's nothing like the Vikings facing a backup quarterback. They've lost to Cooper Rush at home in prime time. Wouldn't it just be so according to script if they lost to Case Keenum, the former Viking?
Yeah.
So I will say just keep an eye on that because it's going to keep getting lower. If you can get, the Bills as a dog, I would say take that.
Right. All right. So let's hop into DFS where I'm a little butthurt for a few reasons. Dylan, you beat me by, I think, like 40 points because Joe Mixon went off for 55. What the hell is up with that? My T. Higgins deal did not pan out because it was all fucking Joe Mixon. Ridiculous. Yeah. So you're up on me 5-3. Other reason I'm upset, the two main running backs I wanted to start this week, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, are playing in prime time, so they don't go in these DFS lineups.
Oof.
Because I absolutely love Christian McCaffrey this week. If he's not a 50-point running back one overall fantasy guy this week, I'm going to be confused because that's a hell of a matchup for him. But we'll get past that. Start with my quarterback. I hate it, but it's a great matchup. He's been playing real well fantasy-wise for the last 3 weeks. Let's take Justin Fields going up against Detroit, 29th against the quarterback position. And like I said, he's had 3 weeks that were solid. 23, 26, 42 was the quarterback one last week. Let's throw him in this week against Detroit, which you believe that you should be able to score points, especially if they continue to run the offense they've been running. He's 6,500.
He's QB1, I think, over the last 4 weeks. Most of it's been schedule. I mean, it has been, and again, him on the ground has certainly been awesome. He was I think I went Rodgers. So this is a QB Superflex League dynasty. I went Rodgers and then Fields, but I got Fields kind of later, and it looked like, oh my God, what kind of pick is this? Obviously, you keep him for the dynasty value. Now it's, now it's looking great. I'm loving it. But I will not be tailing you there. I'll go with Mahomes. Kind of, if Fields, you're banking on him getting you that 27, maybe up into 30 on the ground. You're hoping Mahomes is in a throwing contest. I can't remember if he had an okay game fantasy wise against Tennessee because I guess he did have to throw into it.
I think he was quarterback too. So
there you go. So, yeah. I mean, in a low scoring game, he somehow was able to be quarterback too. The running back situation is a mess. I'm thinking about dropping Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I just can't quite do it yet. But I'll go Mahomes because I think they're going to obviously, even without Tyreek Hill, he's still able to do big time things. My only worry is if they're blowing Jacksonville out. But again, they don't have the run game to do it. So hopefully they just keep passing and checking it down.
Right. I would also like to note that I've got a big scribble mark here because I was going to throw in Jacoby Brissett. I think he's going to have a great week as well this week. I was trying to make room for some bigger wide receivers, but I believe in Fields this week, at least for fantasy. Let's go to the running back position. Definitely the two best running backs I could have grabbed that weren't named Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey for the week. We're going with Saquon Barkley against Houston, who is 32nd against the running backs. It's Saquon. It's the worst running back defense. Huge play there. He's averaging 19.6 a game. Houston's giving up an average of 27.75 points to the running back position. And Barkley's only had 1 week where he's been under 15. So it's a great floor. 8,600. We're going with Saquon there. And then we're taking Alvin Kamara going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 16th against the running back position. He's averaging 18 this week. He was down a little bit last week against Baltimore. It was just kind of that whole game was a little weird, and I was holding my breath the whole time because I needed Chris Olave to outscore Taysom Hill by 7 points. And anytime Taysom Hill comes in the game, it is one oopsie away from the defense of him sinking you. So survived that. But before that week, 23, 18, 17, 42. Great numbers. Let's go with him for 7,400.
Yep, I'm going with him as well, but then I'm going not tier, but a little price point lower because everyone's looking on at Saquon. I'm going to go Derrick Henry. Tennessee, I mean, it's literally like they don't have to throw the football. I don't think Vrabel wants to put it in Wills' hands. Like, that's how they're going to win the game and who knows Tannehill's status. I like Henry regardless. Henry, Kamara for my two. And just the note on Barkley, is I think ESPN has him projected for 24 points this week. It's like, okay, wow. All right. So what is he going to get? Yeah, you lick your chops whenever you get the Houston defense. And so that's a scary play for you. I like it.
And let's be honest about Malik Willis. He showed some flashes in the pan last week. He threw some balls that were like spot on. So I think his future is pretty all right. Just gotta, if he is going to be their guy, do what other teams are doing of build around that, build a scheme around him, figure out what works. And he could be somebody kind of scary because I watched some of those throws he made and I was like, damn.
Going forward, certainly. I just think it's tough, like how Vrabel has to game plan. Like, he's obviously trying to win every single game. He's seeing the promise there, but you also know you've got a rookie quarterback and you can't afford to lose these games. Especially, that was close with the Chiefs. They were hoping for maybe a tiebreaker there, but the young quarterbacks have been interesting. Future of the league.
Yeah. So let's hop into the wide receiver position. This is where I really wanted to spend up. I was trying to get Hill. I was trying to get Diggs, and I was trying to get Jefferson into this lineup, but it really left for nothing else on the team. So we are going to stick with Diggs. Do like that this week going up against Minnesota, 26th against the receiver position. He's got 5 games with 10 or more targets so far this year, 3 20-point games, a 30-point game, a 40-point game. I don't see anything that's going to be different this week for him. Possibly no Josh Allen. That could hurt a little bit. But if Case Keenum is smart, he's going to be like, all right, Josh throws to that guy a lot. Maybe I'll throw to him too. So hopefully it's still all right. He's 8,300. We're going to go with Amari Cooper at that second wide receiver spot going up against Miami. They're 24th against the receiver. I think we might be sleeping on Amari Cooper a little too much. He's sitting at 15.3 for his average. The wide receiver, 12. He's got 4 20-point games, 3 games with 100 yards or more, and 5 games with a touchdown. I mean, we didn't know really what to expect from Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett's kind of getting the job done, and Amari Cooper is a big reason for that. He's 6,500. And then how about a guy that's coming on like kind of maybe the next Tyreek Hill-ish kind of weapon for Kansas City, Mecole Hardman, going up against Jacksonville, who is 20th against the receiver position. He's got 3 straight games with a touchdown, 5 touchdowns in those last 3 games, 28-19 in his last 2 performances. He's only 4,500. So I'm going to buy him low this week. I think he's continuing to find a new spot. And I was kind of stuck between him and Juju, but Juju's a little more expensive. So I'll take Mecole Hardman, especially because he's got some sort of a running ability as well.
Scored the first touchdown. Yeah, he was. I threw him into a lineup as a flex. It paid off. I'm actually going to a member of his receiving team. I'm going to go with MVS. I'm hoping that they're still spreading the ball around. Maybe he catches a touchdown. Kind of a value play for me because I am sticking Diggs in there as well on top of my running back. So I've got Diggs, MVS. Come on, Wan'Dale Robinson. Everything set up for 2 weeks ago for him to just pop off. He did absolutely turd nothing. Tough match. Houston kind of sneaky against receivers. I wonder if this is more of a game than people might think. But I'll go with Wan'Dale. And then a quick note on your Cooper play. So like I've been listening to this trend with Cooper in home games. It was back in Dallas. It was back in Oakland at the time. And he has a touchdown in every single Cleveland home game. So he's ready to go. You said it, all those 20-point performances. You guessed it. It was at the dog pound. So I think he's a great play this week. You give me your tight end, and I'll give my dog Porter here a let outside.
There you go. All right. So at tight end, we had to go pretty dang cheap on tight end, flex, and defense. But at tight end, we're going to go with Juwan Johnson going up against Pittsburgh. It is a bit of a tough matchup as Pittsburgh is 10th against the tight end position. But Johnson, he had a 20-point game in week 7, 12.2 last week, got a touchdown out of it. And it was a pretty impressive touchdown, toe tapping on the sideline. So 3,000 there for Juwan Johnson. Got to roll with it. I mean, 3,000 is about as dirt cheap as you can go for a somewhat serviceable tight end.
He loves garbage time. That's where and hey, it works out. Yeah, he's got, I like some of his running a bit. I mean, did you see that touchdown he had where he's toe tapping the sideline? So he's definitely got the talent there. I don't know what do you do at quarterback for the Saints? I mean, it's ugly. For watching Dalton, you sometimes want Taysom to just take over, and then you don't. You've got James just sitting on the sideline. I like that play, though.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there watching Andy Dalton not do a whole lot of anything, and I'm like, why did we sell away from Jameis Winston so fast?
Yep.
And he hasn't really gotten a chance to come back since he got hurt, and then it was Andy Dalton, and they just kind of rolled with Dalton. So I'm confused about why they're not making some sort of switch, because Andy Dalton, let's be honest, is not getting the job done.
Yeah, no kidding. Certainly, it's almost like they gave him the Matt Ryan treatment, Jameis, a healthy scratch. I wonder if Jeff Saturday is just going to be like, what do we do? Let's bring back Matt Ryan. That's kind of because right now I don't have an NFL team. I'm just freaking. I'm sitting here in limbo. I'm a fantasy, fan.
Right.
That's it. I'll go with Dulcich for my tight end, 3,400. Hoping he's coming off the London game where he did solid. Looks like Russ likes him just as much as Brett Rippon. And then I think I still managed to beat you even with Higbee having a terrible performance last week, right? Thanks to Mixon.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with him again just because I love my 2 tight ends. So I'll go Dulcich, Higbee there. And then just a speculative play for me here, defensive wise. Vikings. If it is Keenum,
okay,
going Vikings.
Fair enough. So tell me if you even know this name of a tight end. He only played last week. Last week was his first game. Caught a touchdown. So why the hell not? We're going with Tegan Quitoriano.
Okay, I do not know.
For the Houston Texans, he caught a touchdown for him last week going up against the Giants. I was really struggling with Fields, Barkley, Kamara, Diggs. Wasn't a lot of money left. And digging through, and I'm like, hey, I remember seeing that guy on Thursday night. Let's go ahead and take him. So he's averaging 7.2 because he's only played one damn game and scored. But hey, he caught a touchdown. He's 2,500. That's what we're going with. And I just talked about the Rams being a team that still doesn't have it figured out. So let's go with the Arizona Cardinals defense. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Cardinals defense leads the league in defensive touchdowns at this point. So,
okay.
I like that because if you can get a defense that at least scores a touchdown, it's going to be hard for them to come down from at least even 6. So,
and we talk about Buda Baker and company. They take the top off the offense. They don't let you go deep, and then they have that big playability.
Yeah,
that team stinks though. I can't. Kingsbury, my God.
All right, so this will be an interesting week. Hopefully, since I've got Saquon and you've got Derrick Henry, Henry doesn't go off for 50 this week. But
right.
We'll see what happens. All right, so prop bets. We're sitting at 34-26. Dylan's still up. We split last week. This week, it's going to be triple threats. We're going to have a lot of triple threat, 3 options. So we're going to start out at the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa. Who's going to have the most fantasy points of those 3? Hurts is against Washington, Fields against Detroit, and Tua against Cleveland.
I'm going to go with Fields just because I think that's going to be a fantasy bonanza game, I would imagine. I mean, the Bears defense has been so bad, so I think they're just going to have to try and stay in it, and Fields is going to have to do it through the air and on the ground to do so. He's hot right now. Ride the hot hand.
Yeah, that's what I was going with as well. I think it's going to be that could possibly be the 1, 2, 3 this week.
Yeah.
Tua has been honestly pulling my fantasy team out of the grave and pushing them to victories. I've won now 3 straight in my league, or yeah, 3 straight because I'm 3-6. I'm 4-5 in another league that I have Tua, and he's pulled me to 3 straight victories there as well. So
it's been great.
Need that to keep going. So possibly, and then Jalen Hurts, he's in the conversation for MVP this year. So can't really count him out either. But I do like Fields there. All right, I talked about him a little bit with my DFS. Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
Higher or lower 15 fantasy points going up against Miami.
Wow, right on the number. I think that's going to be close. Keep an eye on what David Njoku's status is. I think he says he wants to play, and that could be interesting for guys like Cooper. I imagine still going to have a big game, but I'm a little bit more worried about Peoples-Jones. I'll go over. Say he gets an extra weapon back, and that gets him an extra point. How about that?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be, say, more than 20, but I think he'll sit at maybe a 16 to 18 this week. It's kind of where I've got him projected. So I'm going higher than 15. All right, next triple threat. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, or Austin Eckler. Who's going to have more total yards in their games? You got Saquon against Houston, McCaffrey against the Chargers, and Eckler against San Fran.
I'm going to go with Saquon. I think they're going to be running the ball there. I was just thinking because C-Mac is obviously going to do a little bit more kind of everywhere, but I think San Francisco is going to kind of take care of business there. I wonder if maybe, and who knows? I like Barkley. It's the matchup of the week. I'm going to go with Saquon.
Yeah, that's initially kind of where I was at, and then the more I looked at Christian McCaffrey, this matchup, what they had him do in his last game,
yeah,
I can't go against that. So I got to go.
Total
Christian
yards
McCaffrey.
Is key too. What if he throws another bomb? Nice wordplay there.
If he can get involved everywhere, that helps him a little more. But watch this be the week that he goes out for the rest of the season because I said his name. Could be tough there. And Austin Eckler, honestly, I think it might be a down week for him because San Francisco does have that sneaky good defense.
And it's a lot of, you said yards, so it's a lot of his production comes via that point per reception.
Yeah. All right. So Travis Etienne, it's just a simple yes or no here. Is he going to have his 4th straight 100-yard rushing performance against Kansas City?
Yes.
Yes.
I just think it looked like he wasn't going to get it this past week, and he popped in the second half. I think they're leaning on him, and even if they are, I think he's too talented, especially against a suspect Chiefs team where I'm like worried, like you said, rushing yards, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if this is a throw in a game, I think he could still get 70 in the first half, maybe 30 in the third, and he takes care of business from there.
Well, and I mean, if we even look at last week, Tennessee, I mean, there were a lot of big runs for Derrick Henry, and it wasn't necessarily that he's just a nice, powerful back breaking off big runs. There was a lot of space. So yes. I'm going to go with yes as well. Travis Etienne, how about a nice surprise for fantasy owners coming out after the James Robinson trade? So pretty big.
What's he at in in terms of dynasty rankings? He's just got to be near the top right now, right?
Yeah, especially for running backs, because if you think about it, he got hurt his first year, didn't play. So you got that kind of injury concern there, but now it's year 2, still young, and I think he was young coming out of college as well. So still got a lot of time for him to continue to do this.
Jonathan Taylor, skyrocketing down, plummeting. Meanwhile, you've got, and that's always the worry with running backs. It's like, who's next? Who's going to fall off that cliff? But then who's going to come up and take over?
Right. All right. Next triple threat. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, or Justin Jefferson. Who's going to have the most receptions this week? Hill going up against Cleveland, Diggs against Minnesota. and Jefferson against Buffalo.
Man, it's hard to go against Tyreek Hill. I got to go with Tyreek. I mean, he gets open in the blink of an eye. Tua is looking for him. Even Teddy Bridgewater was looking for him. Even with Waddle out there, I like what the Dolphins offense is doing. And Jeff Wilson Jr. gives them another dynamic weapon too. I'm going to go Hill.
Yeah. I really want to go Diggs, but with just not knowing who his quarterback's going to be, I wish, it's kind of a selfish wish, but I wish that there would have been like 1 week where Allen just couldn't play and we could see what Case Keenum likes to do in this offense, just so we have some sort of sample.
Sure.
But we don't. So I got to go with Tyreek Hill as well, because like you said, it's just every week it's 8, 9, 10, 12 targets. I mean, he's always up there target wise. So I like him there. And then I talked about McCole Hardman earlier. Let's talk about Juju Smith-Schuster. Is he going to be higher or lower? 6 catches and 75 yards going into this game against Jacksonville. His 3 previous performances: 5 catches for 113, 7 for 124, and 10 for 88. So he's been over this number the past 3 weeks. Does he get it again?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they are, I'm going to go lower. Maybe you're going higher, so we get a little switch up there. And I think, God, I don't even do they even run the ball anymore in Kansas City? I don't think, even if they are up, I'm so puzzled. I'm picking up Jerick McKinnon. I have Clyde. I'm starting one over the other. Kansas City's a mess for me this year. I'll go under.
Yeah, I am going higher there. It just seems like he's starting to figure out how this team works.
Yeah.
You saw it last week of he's running a route, turns around, sees an open space, and he's like, I'll go there. And then got the ball passed to him. So he's starting to figure out kind of how improvisation based this offense is. And he's starting to get the hang of it. And it's paying off for him. Let's go to the tight end position. We've got TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or Zach Ertz. Who's going to have the most fantasy points out of those 3? Hawkinson going up against Buffalo, Goedert against Washington, and Ertz against the Rams.
How about Hawkinson last week, huh? Looks like he's fitting just fine in Minnesota. I made in that Dynasty Superflex, some guy just took over. We had like the most bizarre thing. The league owner threw like a temper tantrum and then was like dropping play. It was like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. We've got a new manager taking over his team, so we kind of moving on his business. The guy takes over just a shit team who was like tanking for CJ Stroud. I offered him Zeke for Hawkinson straight up, and he rightfully so turned me down. But I was trying. I'm like, come on. I was like, come on, need him. Yeah, I mean, I'll go Hawkinson. How about that? Kirk's got a reliable guy. They're throwing to him in the flat. They're throwing to him in the the medium routes. And so I like Hawkinson there. I mean, my goodness, they were peppering him with targets, and we were paying him with receptions.
Yeah, it's definitely the most favorable, I'd say, of the 3. I do like Goddard going up against Washington, but Washington's kind of tough. They're gonna pepper with pressure. And Ertz, it's not gonna be anything spectacular. I think his baseline's about 10, so can't go there. I think I'm gonna go with we'll go with Dallas Goedert for being different, and he's, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Hurts, so he's going to have to be getting the ball out quick, and I think Goddard may get on from that. All right, a guy you like actually for this final tight end spot, Cade Otton, higher, lower, 4 targets. In his past 3 performances, he's had 5, 5, and 6 going up against Seattle.
God, I knew it didn't even matter because my team is so bad, but I knew he was going to pop. I sat him. I started Taysom Hill, just like so bad. I love Cade Otton. I don't know what it is. Brady seems to like him too. I assume Brady's going to miss more time. That's the key. I'm not messing around. I'm starting old Cade Otton this time around in my, deepest league, but so I'll go over there. I like what I've seen. Brady is all of a sudden turning into more of a fantasy relevant quarterback again. Now that he's having to throw a bit more. Again, I'm high on the Bucks, as ugly as it is. So I like my boy Cade there.
Yeah, I'm taking that over as well. If the past
Yeah.
3 weeks he's been over that number, there's no reason to expect he'll be under it.
Scored the game winner. I mean, that was epic.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I lost by 5 points in one league with Brady and Evans as my stack. What happens on the one play that I need Brady to throw a touchdown
Right.
to PI, and then it goes to Kate on, and
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah, I had a fantasy miracle with Kenyon Drake, thank goodness, who popped. But now it's like, you use him and you drop him because he's got the bye and everyone's likely healthy. But Kenyon came through for the week I needed him to.
There you go. All right, so we'll finish off the show here with some odds-on favorites. Just quick fire, kind of. Who do we think? Super Bowl champion. The three main odds-on favorites are the Bills, the Eagles, the Chiefs. Who do you got?
Out of those three, give me the Chiefs. This is Buffalo's looked all it's been advertised, but this is why you don't take the favorite going in to the NFL season with the Bills. If Josh Allen is out for the year, that is toast.
Yeah.
And that is a very real possibility. And again, even if he's not, I like the Chiefs, who have just kind of just been there, done that. I'm not high on the Eagles. Yes, they look great. Look at the National League right now. It's terrible. The National Football Conference is awful. Again, if he runs into Brady, if he runs into the 49ers, I kind of take the guys that have been there a little bit before. So I like all these newbies are getting the high odds. I like the Chiefs out of those three.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs would probably be the safest bet, but I'm more going what I want to see in the Super Bowl. And I think it'd be fun as hell to see the Eagles and the Bills.
Sure.
And I think Eagles may be over them. It's obviously a too early to call thing. We're halfway through the season, but I just like the fact that the Eagles, they finally got it figured out because they've built around Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
As
the
every
entire
coach,
roster. Yeah.
as every franchise should do, build around your main piece. That's why other teams aren't as good, like the Broncos. But let's move on to the MVP. The quarterbacks of those three teams are the mainstays for the odds-on favorite there. Allen, Hurts, Mahomes. Who do you think is going to be MVP? One of those three, somebody else? What are your thoughts there?
Sorry, last thing on the Eagles is just like, I mean, look at the schedule. Nick Sirianni was a fool last year. Now all of a sudden you put this schedule in front of them. They're undefeated. They beat the Cowboys without Dak. The Vikings are their best win. Texans, Steelers, Cardinals, Jaguars, Commanders, Lions. I feel like we're still too early to tell. That's my last thing there. All right, you give me your MVP here. Let me do some thinking.
If Allen stays healthy, I think there's no reason he's not going to win. Just absolute dominance it's been for him throughout this year. But that elbow could derail that. And then, I'd probably have to go with either Hurts or Mahomes. It's kind of hard to pick outside of those three guys because hey, maybe Geno Smith. Who knows?
I mean, no kidding. I would go Mahomes. I feel like even the last 2 years that Rodgers has won, Mahomes has been right there. He's always going to be there. Low interceptions. He's doing it with lesser receivers this year, still over 20 touchdowns. The reason Hurts is up there is because of his ground game, and he's got an undefeated team. Everyone's talking about, are the Chiefs going to finish in last this year because of all the changes in the division? How'd that go? I still think it's Mahomes.
Yeah, I gotta kind of eat the shit there because I was
everyone said that. Like literally everyone's going, the Raiders are going to be Super Bowl champs, huh?
Yeah, that's not really panning out. Now about defensive player of the year, your three tops are Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett. I think Parsons. This Cowboys defense, everybody wanted to give credit to Cooper Rush for that team remaining relevant. No, it was that damn defense. They're hella good. Micah Parsons, the leader of that defense. I think he's the odds. And he was in the same position last year as a rookie. So,
yes.
I like him.
Who are the three options? Parsons, Bosa, and
Garrett.
Can I throw in a wild card?
Go for it. Yeah.
How about Matthew Judon?
There you go.
Oh my goodness. I mean, maybe it was because he had a couple of sacks in this past game, but he's clear 3 sacks ahead. He leads arguably the year in, year out defense that is always, under Belichick, fantastic. I like Judon. If the Patriots somehow, let's say Allen goes down, if the Patriots somehow win that division, it's going to be by the defense. I think, again, this is where it's more up to interpretation. I mean, I look at the NBA and it's like Marcus Smart won the defensive player of the year. It's like, okay, wait, what? So it's like, hey, Matthew Judon, maybe slide a little bit down on the odds and take a little flyer.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And then we'll go with the comeback player of the year. Obviously, we got to throw Geno Smith into that category. But we've also got to talk about Saquon Barkley, coming off of a few years of injury, and Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey is up there into that top area. Hasn't really done a whole lot, but now on the 49ers, that big week last week, if he continues for the rest of the year, could be a thing.
You know what? I'm just going to have to, I think all three of those guys deserve a nod. Geno is a different quarterback. I mean, 73% completion percentage and 7.8 yards per attempt. It's not like he's dinking and dunking. 15 touchdowns. He's not turning the ball over anymore. His rookie year, he threw 21 picks. That is a glaring change. So maybe it's not, it's comeback player of his career, so I think he deserves the award.
Yeah, and I think he is a lock for this award, especially if the Seahawks pull off this division.
No kidding.
Which is a very, very high option or high possibility right now, because I think the only other team you've got to compete is San Francisco. And they're still kind of on shaky ground, if we're being honest. So I like Geno there as well. That is it for today's show, everyone. Thanks to Dylan Corbett for joining. Check out all of his stuff at Dylan_Corbett on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. So go check him out. Check him back next week. See if I finally, break this 2-game losing streak against Dylan in DFS and see if I close the gap a little bit in prop bets. But
yes, sir.
For today, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining.